Ja Wilson just got the news she has been dreading for months. While Caitlin Clark is packing her bags to step into Team USA's massive December training camp at Duke University, Wilson finds herself doing something she never thought she'd do, watching from the couch. And let's be real, this isn't just about basketball anymore. This is personal. This is about Wilson watching Clark cement her status as the most powerful female athlete on the planet, while the old guard gets left in the dust. The same woman who spent the last year throwing subtle shade at Clark's rookie season now has to watch Clark take her spot on the global stage. It looks like Wilson hasn't just been snubbed, she's been replaced. So why is the reigning MVP spiraling over a simple training camp invite? The answer is going to shock you. Let's look at the roster that has Wilson fuming because the details here are absolutely crucial. This invite to Duke isn't just a random practice session to keep players in shape. This is the coronation. Sue Bird, the new boss of Team USA, is running this operation, and she has handpicked the players who will define the sport for the next 10 years. And guess who is front and center? Caitlin Clark. But she's not walking in alone, she's bringing the Avengers of the next generation with her. We're talking Paige Buchers getting her first senior camp nod, Juju Watkins making her debut, Angel Reese joining the mix. It is a complete youth movement, a signal that the torch is being snatched, not passed. But here is the part that stings the most for Wilson, and you have to listen closely to catch this detail. It's not just rookies at this camp. Veterans are there. Wilson's own teammates, Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, got the call. They are heading to Duke to suit up for their country. But the reigning MVP, the face of the league for the last 5 years, silence. When your own teammates get invited to the most exclusive camp in the country and you don't, that sends a message louder than any press conference ever could. It says the hierarchy has shifted. The camp isn't about rewarding the past, it's about building the future. And for the first time in her career, Aja Wilson isn't part of that future. But if you think this started with a roster email, you haven't been paying attention. This bitterness has been brewing for a long time, and it all started with a swoosh. We have to talk about the shoe wars because this is the root of the meltdown. When Caitlin Clark signed that historic $28 million deal with Nike, the basketball world celebrated. It was the biggest endorsement deal in women's basketball history. But Wilson couldn't just be happy for the sport or the growth of the game. Instead, she launched what fans are calling her "I Have a Shoe Too" campaign. The timing was absolutely brutal. While Clark was trending globally, Wilson was posting photos of her own sneakers with captions that screamed desperation. Rumors have been swirling for months that Wilson was furious that Nike kept her signature shoe a secret for 2 years, delaying the release, while they rolled out the red carpet for Clark immediately upon her turning pro. Wilson's camp tried to spin it as patience, using phrases like, "What is delayed is not denied." But let's be honest, when you have to beg people to remember you also have a deal, you've already lost the marketing war. Wilson watched Clark's merchandise fly off the shelves, crashing websites, while her own announcements barely made a ripple outside of her core fan base. That financial jealousy is the fuel behind this fire. This goes beyond just shoes, though. The resentment runs deep into how the league itself operates, specifically regarding the charter flight controversy that exploded this year. For 5 years, Wilson and the veteran stars begged the WNBA for private flights, citing safety and recovery. They were told it was too expensive or financially impossible. Then Caitlin Clark arrives. Suddenly, within weeks of her being drafted, the league magically finds the budget for a full charter program for everyone. Instead of seeing this as a victory for all women, insiders suggest Wilson took it as a personal insult. It reinforced the narrative that Wilson's influence wasn't enough to change the league, but Clark's mere presence was. Wilson has to live with the reality that the luxury travel she enjoys now isn't because of her MVP trophies, it's because the rookie she rolled her eyes at brought the revenue to pay for it. That is a bitter pill to swallow for someone with an ego as large as Wilson's, and it fuels the animosity we are seeing now with this Team USA exclusion. And that brings us to the money, because this is where the gap between them becomes impossible to ignore. Wilson has been the best player in the league for years, but Clark isn't just a player. She is an economy. The Caitlin Clark effect is a real financial term now. We saw it when she made the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, recognized for her business impact across multiple industries. She's not just selling jerseys, she's selling out arenas for opposing teams. She's getting invited to play in Pro-Am golf tournaments because she brings a demographic that Wilson simply cannot reach. Wilson tried to clap back at this reality in a way that honestly made everyone cringe. There were reports and interviews where she claimed she earns the same speaking fees as Clark, trying to convince the public that their market value is equal. It was a bold claim, and frankly, nobody bought it. It revealed a deep insecurity. Wilson knows she can dominate on the court, but she can't compete with Clark's cultural relevance. Seeing Clark get the Time Athlete of the Year award, an honor no women's basketball player has ever received, pushed Wilson over the edge. That award wasn't about stats, it was about influence. And in the game of influence, Wilson is playing in the minor leagues. We also have to talk about the likability gap, because this plays a huge role in who Team USA selects to be the face of their brand. Brands and networks are gravitating toward Clark not just because she scores, but because she is seen as a unifying figure. She signs autographs for 40 minutes after losses. She credits her teammates in every interview. Contrast that with Wilson, whose public persona has become increasingly combative. When you spend your season wearing shirts that say "of course she has a shoe," or liking tweets that attack the new fan base, you make yourself a marketing liability. Team USA is a business. They are looking at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles as the biggest commercial opportunity in history. Do they want a leader who is fighting with the fans, or a leader who is bringing in millions of new ones? By leaving Wilson at home, Team USA is making a business decision. They are betting that the Caitlin Clark brand is strong enough to carry the flag without the baggage of Wilson's personal vendettas. But let's get back to the basketball politics, because this is where it gets really interesting. Sue Bird isn't just picking names out of a hat. She is crafting a specific identity for Team USA leading into the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Bird knows that the old style of play, slow, isolation-heavy basketball, is dying. The world is catching up. To stay ahead, Team USA needs pace, space, and shooting. They need the Caitlin Clark style of play. By building the camp around Clark, Bowkers, and these young fast guards, Bird is signaling a tactical shift. Wilson thrives in a half-court, grinded-out game. Clark thrives in chaos and speed. If the team is being built to run, Wilson's role naturally diminishes. Bird is essentially handpicking a roster that speaks Clark's language on the court. It's a quiet revolution. They aren't kicking Wilson off the team explicitly, but they are designing a system where she no longer fits as the primary option. That is a far more painful way to be pushed out. What makes this meltdown so obvious is Wilson's behavior pattern. Over the last year, we've seen a masterclass in passive-aggressive shade. It's never a direct attack, it's always disguised as veteran concern. Remember the comments about Clark's reality check before the season started? Or the complaints about media attention? Wilson developed a habit of raining on Clark's parade every time she hit a milestone. When Clark broke rookie records, Wilson talked about veteran respect. When Clark led her team to the playoffs, Wilson posted about championship pedigree. She constantly moves the goalposts to ensure that whatever Clark achieves, it's not quite enough. She has been caught liking tweets that criticize Clark's fan base and engaging with accounts that diminish Clark's impact. It's a bad look, it screams insecurity. Instead of embracing the new wave that is making everyone richer, Wilson has positioned herself as the gatekeeper trying to lock the door. But with this Team USA invite, the gate has been blown off the hinges. There is one more secret weapon Clark has that Wilson can't touch: Aliyah Boston. This Team USA camp isn't just throwing stars together, they are looking for chemistry. And the chemistry between Clark and Boston in Indiana was electric this season. They have a pick-and-roll connection that looks like it's been polished for a decade. Team USA coaches want to see that on the international stage. Boston's inclusion in this camp is huge. It signals that the program wants to build around that specific duo. Boston provides the defensive anchor that allows Clark to be an offensive genius. They complement each other perfectly. Wilson, on the other hand, is used to being the solo alpha. She demands the ball. Clark shares it. The synergy between Clark and Boston represents a team-first future that is terrifying for players who rely on individual dominance. The coaches at Duke, Kara Lawson, Stephanie White, they are going to be drooling over the potential of a Clark-Boston dynasty. Wilson is on the outside looking in at a partnership that could rule the world for the next 2 Olympic cycles. And let's look at the fear factor. Opposing countries used to fear Team USA's size, which was Wilson's biggest asset. But the game has evolved. International teams are terrified of range. They are terrified of a guard who can pull up from 35 feet and drain a 3. That breaks defensive schemes. Wilson can dominate the paint, but Clark breaks the geometry of the entire court. Team USA knows that to dominate in 2028, they need the weapon that no other country has. They need the logo 3. Wilson represents the gold medals of the past, but Clark represents the gold medals of the future. The coaches know it, Sue Bird knows it, and deep down, Wilson knows it too. So, let's call this what it is. This isn't just a training camp roster, it's a changing of the guard. A'ja Wilson spent months trying to delay the inevitable, posting cryptic captions and throwing shade, hoping to slow down the Caitlin Clark train. But that train has officially left the station and it's headed straight for the 2028 Olympics. Wilson's meltdown, the jealousy, the shoe campaigns, the desperate claims about speaking fees, has all backfired. It only highlighted the difference between a great basketball player and a generational icon. Clark didn't need to say a word. She just played her game, signed her deals, and got the invite. Now, while the next generation descends on Duke to build the future of American basketball, the reigning MVP is left with her delayed recognition and a harsh reality check. The sport has moved on. The question is, can Wilson accept her new reality, or will the bitterness continue to tarnish her legacy? What do you guys think? Is Team USA making a mistake leaving the MVP at home, or is it time to hand the keys to Caitlin Clark? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this exposed breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe. I've got way more secrets to spill in the next video. You don't want to miss it.